Hello everybody, this is Gamma Rudolph again with an update of my workout as I do it every other day. And here on the screen you read a text, a disclaimer. First of all, you need to be careful, don't replicate just out of the blue what I'm doing here unless you have some experience and are rather fit, because it's not trivial what I'm doing, and in particular if you're at an advanced age as I am, you may get hurt, and in particular any damage to the connective tissue like ligaments and cartilage in joints does not heal very well, so you need to be careful. I am in no way any expert medically speaking or when it comes to exercising and training, so what I do here is merely for documenting. It's not meant to be an advice as to what you should do or could do. That being said, before we start into the details, you will notice that this exercise is actually only an hour long. The last one I documented was, I think, roughly twice the size. And since it was getting out of hand time wise, I had to cut it short. I took out certain exercises that were repetitive and concentrated on those that are really necessary. And furthermore, as I had already indicated in my last video, I had back then ordered a set of weights. You will now see that I've integrated them. Fortunately, I ordered them prior to COVID-19 hitting, and I received them a few weeks before, because after COVID-19 hit, well, everybody who was into working out couldn't go to the gym anymore, and a lot of those people started building up their own equipment at home, and demand for this kind of equipment just went through the roof, and the supply was a problem with the economy being shut down, so we basically couldn't get stuff. The waiting lists these exercise equipment companies were putting out were just outrageous, 1, 2, 3 months in the future. So I got lucky to get my stuff, or my weights I should say, just before that. Now there's another item that I'd like to have, like a weighted vest that I'd like to wear instead of putting those weights on me when I'm doing certain exercises, and I'll get to that when we look at this. Now, as you see here, I'm starting again these body weight exercises with warming up by rowing for 3 minutes. It's pretty much the same as it used to be. During winter time, I actually every other day row for roughly 20 to 30 minutes, much more intensely and long, because I cannot really go on my bicycle outdoors on the road, and sometimes I don't manage to get to the gym to join a spinning class, and also it's just much more rounded to go on a rowing machine, because it is engaging so much more of your body. Almost every muscle group to one degree or another is being exercised this way, save the lateral and the ab muscles and the triceps. Now that's exactly what I address next, just as it was before. Once I'm done with rowing, this is in the basement. I've moved actually all my workout equipment this summer into the basement because it's just outrageously hot. It is the hottest July on record, and I did these exercises on July 29th, I think. And I show here the temperature that we had that morning at 4 o'clock. It was 24 degrees Celsius, which is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and relatively high humidity. In a slightly colder setting in spring or early summer, I actually like to do my exercises outdoors in our front yard, but this is not an option with that kind of temperature and humidity. So not even inside in our living room, it's even warmer. We're up to 25, 26 degrees Celsius, sometimes 27, which runs to 77 to 80, 81 degrees. And the humidity is not quite as bad, but it's still too hot for exercising. So the basement is a little cooler. So after I'm done with rowing, I go upstairs and do dips. Now the dips have changed. If you compare it, before I had my feet on the ground. Now I put them actually on a chair so they're level with the rest of my body pretty much. And this is much more intense. So I've upped my load on my shoulders. As I mentioned before, I had a torn ligament in my left shoulder, which has always prevented me from doing full load dips. It's just too high a risk that I rip it again. But this is now a considerable step up, and I've reduced the number of repetitions I do, and instead the load is considerably higher. Now, as you watch me doing these, I think I do 6 sets of 8 dips each, and each set is separated with a set of just pushing my arms down and my body upward and getting myself a little bit out of balance by rotating my body. This is meant to just stabilize the shoulder muscles, and I do that for 4 breaths long each time. A little explanation of what happens after that. After doing the triceps, I usually go to the other side of the arm and do biceps. Now I cannot do pull-ups on my triple door gym currently because the only door frame where it fits is our master bathroom, and this is currently being refurbished and the whole floor has been ripped out, so I can't use it. And what I do, there is roughly a 3/4 mile away from where I live a playground with some monkey bars, and I can do the pull-ups there. So that's what I'm currently using. So after having done the dips, I actually get outside and jog over the 3/4 mile to that playground and do the pull-ups, which we'll see in a minute here. I actually tried to record my jogging over there, but that is pretty much impossible. At 4 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black dark, and there's only a little artificial light, so that didn't work. We'll skip the jogging part, and once we're done here with the dips, you'll see me do the pull-ups. Now I get up and out and jog over to the playground, and here we are. Of course, the monkey bars are not high enough for me to hang there completely suspended. I have to get my legs up a little, which compromised a little bit the posture I have there. But that's all I can do. Even with my triple door gym, it's not different because there's just no door frame in the world that's high enough for me to hang all the way because it's 6'4". That's just the way it is. Now, on this particular occasion, I do 16 repetitions of pull-ups, and that's pretty much as far as I've ever pushed it in my life, so I'm pretty much there at the peak of my performance, and I'm not necessarily pushing it any further because, well, it's just no point. Once this is all over, I jog back again unrecorded because that is impossible. Now you see that there is some light there because, to be honest, I cheated. I couldn't have recorded it at pitch black dark night. And therefore, actually the day before, when I came back from my bicycle ride, because every other day during the summer I ride my bicycle down to the river and swim and come back. And when I came back that day, I went to that particular playground and did the pull-ups and recorded it. And that is true also for the other sets of pull-ups we'll see later. Back in the basement we are, and I'll start with some lateral planks. I've grouped my exercises in sets of 3, and the first of each is a type of plank. The second one in each set is a type of abs workout, and the third addresses the back. So they all target the core. Currently I do 4 sets of these. While in the past I actually had 6 or 7 of them, and I cut them down to save some time, since the sheer number of them that I was doing wasn't really increasing the strength. It was actually more of a cardiovascular workout than increasing core strength. I used to do these lateral planks with just my body weight, but after obtaining those weights, I started adding weights and quickly went from 5 to 10 to 15 pounds, and right now I'm on 20 pounds. With each one of my exercises, I usually go up to 20 repetitions, but currently I'm not quite there yet. Actually, my entire workout is a little bit trimmed down because the first 3 weeks of July I did not really do any workout, caused primarily by a little bit of a depression I fell in after my court case that unfolded on July 6th and 7th. You can follow that story in a different video that I have on my channel. And when I resumed my workout, I actually made a mistake. I did a set of workouts outdoors, and my gym mat was placed somehow unfortunately on some hard objects underneath, and I hurt the tissue around my tailbone with all the various kinds of sit-ups I was doing, and that got so bad that I had to actually suspend working out for basically 2 weeks until that had healed. And here and now I am back in my routine, although a little bit trimmed down, so not necessarily 20 repetitions with each set, but some of them have only 12, 14, 16, 18, depending. The first abs workout I'm doing, I've actually been doing for over a decade now. I never really changed it much. I actually tried to add some weights to it by putting 20, 30 pounds on each of my shoulders, but it turns out that it doesn't do much other than shifting my center of gravity and requiring me to do the sit-ups in a different way. So I skipped that again and went back to the old proven method of just plain body weight. This particular exercise actually lasts roughly 6 minutes. Once I'm up to 20 repetitions, it actually lasts almost 10 minutes. So we are clearly in a cardiovascular range of doing abs workout here. The next exercise addresses the back, and in comparison to the last workout I recorded from February, so 5 months ago, I've added a resistant band. This is a blue resistant band, so it's medium heavy. And once that set is done, I actually put some weights on my hips here. This is not a good way of doing it actually, because those weights actually give me bruises once in a while. So I'm desperately waiting for the weighted vest that's supposed to be coming in a month or two, so that I can use something more gentle to put some weights on me. That was the first set of 3 exercises, plank, abs, back. And now we're back to plank. This is a stepper plank, and compared to what I had 5 months ago where I was doing it just with my body weight, I now have a rucksack with a 30-pound weight in it. This is not a good solution either, because the weight in that backpack moves around, and actually the backpack got ripped at one point already, so it is trying to fall out one side. So balancing the whole thing is a challenge, plus it also gives me bruises once in a while. I am really looking forward for that weighted vest. The second set of abs starts out with some extreme weights. Actually, I put 30 pounds on each of my shoulders, so in total of 60 pounds. Plus I add the medium heavy and heavy resistant bands to my feet. Now I really need to advise you not to try that unless you are already very strong with your abs, because you can get pulled muscles very easily, because this is kind of an extreme workout for your abs. So unless you are very well trained with your abs, don't do this. Once I'm worn out doing these sit-ups with the weights, I drop the weights and do some 20 more without the weights. After this, I address the back again. We have some Superman here. I have 4 sets of them. The first one normal. And the second actually comes with pushing 5-pound weights forward, which stabilizes the shoulder. And then again a set of Simple Superman. And after that, a set of pushing weights. After this comes the third set of plank abs back. This kind of plank is performed only on one leg and one hand, so that requires quite a lot of skills to keep yourself in balance, and it activates all the lateral muscles. The abs exercise here are leg raises, and since I got bored with them, getting into endless repetitions, not doing much, I started adding weight. And since it gets you out of balance, I have a weight in my hand to counterbalance and one held by my foot. And right now this is 15 pounds. And I do some 10 repetitions of that, basically until failure, or until my back buckles. And then I drop the weight and do 20 more without additional weight. The back exercise after that is just an inverted plank, and I keep that position for 20 breaths long. At least that's the plan. I think I'm on 16 or 18 there. At this moment I actually realized that I had turned one of the lamps in the basement off when I first left for a jog, and I'm turning it back on here to get a little bit better illumination. Now we're back to planks, and this plank is simple push-ups, which is a type of plank too, although a dynamic one. Now, compared to what I did back 5 months ago in February, this here has my feet elevated and it has additional weight in the backpack that is 25 pounds in this instance. I do as many of them as I can do until failure. Now you can see that my posture there isn't quite 100%, my head is too low. But I actually tried to lift it up. I get problems with my neck. I have some kink in my neck, so I have to see a chiropractor to see what is out of line there. Because if I raise my head while doing push-ups, it actually starts hurting in my right shoulder and chest. And that is not shoulder or chest related, but it's definitely coming from the neck. So I have some nerve coming out of the neck pinch. So that needs to be investigated. Anyway, after a failure in this position, I go down and keep doing another 3 or 4, whatever I can do with the weights, and then drop the weights and do another plus minus 8 or 10, sometimes 12 without weights. Since push-ups are an intense triceps workout, the next exercise targets the biceps, which means I go on a 3/4 miles jog again to the playground, and that's where we are now. Because it was still too dark at that time of the day for recording anything, I again insert here footage that I've shot the next day after a bike ride down to the river. Back in the basement, it's back to the abs, and this time it's a lateral sit-up. That exercise targets the laterals and the abs. The background noise here has increased a little because I put the fan on a higher setting. Next set of exercises is pretty much the same as it was back in February. So the first part of it focuses on the lower back muscles. And then come some for the abductors. Both sides. And then we'll switch to the other side for the back muscles. This exercise targets the rear part of my thigh, the buttocks and the lower back. This exercise targets the chest muscle, and actually it has the tendency of pushing my neck vertebrae out of line, which is making the problems I already have with it worse. So I'm currently looking into some alternatives to this exercise, like using resistant bands, but I haven't worked anything out that really works and gives me the proper load.
sky fall down upon me. All I am, a child with promises. All I have are miles full of promises of hope. If only I could stay with you, my train moves.
This exercise gets me back into triceps lands, and in contrast to what I used to do roughly half a year ago, now I go on a step, at least for some of the exercise.
Now I must wait until it's over. Will pass, your words to me, it seems.
And this is then followed by what I call a super plank. I stretch my hands out as far ahead as I can, doing a plank rather than the normal one where you just sit on your elbows. Now the limit here is usually that the floor is slippery and you can't stabilize it. As you see, I'm slowly moving, slipping forward with my hand and backward with my feet, so I have to correct that on occasion. I do that for 30 breaths alongside, it's roughly a minute. And usually I do that outdoors on a concrete pavement and put my hands against a step so that my hands cannot slip, and it gives me maximum grip for the shoes or the feet on the concrete.
Eternity, but I must wait and then it's over.
For the final exercise, I again jog to the playground and do some shrugs there. This time is actually recorded the same day because by the time I left on that particular day, Dawn had progressed sufficiently to be able to record it. Now normally in a gym setting you would grab some 80 or 90 pound weights in each hand and do these shrugs standing up. But the weights I do have only come with maximum 50 pounds and there's just not enough load. So by doing these inverted shrugs on a monkey bar, I use my body weight, which in that case is 185. So it puts a little over 90 pounds on each of my shoulders. And there's Daisy, our Italian Greyhound Beagle mix. And the gap between the handles there is a little narrow, so I can't really pull up much, but I make it work. It's only for a short while until our bathroom is back functional and I can use my triple door gym again and don't have to jog over to the playground. And that wraps it up. Thank you for watching.